Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Ace and today I am super stoked to jump back into the whole Napoleonic era. When I was growing up in high school, middle school, elementary school, all that, we didn't learn much about Napoleon because our country wasn't involved in it. And I feel like it's like that a lot in many countries around the world. You learn kind of the gist of several places, but you really learn about the things that your country is involved in. So I learned a lot about World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, Korea, things like that. The American Civil War, but never about this. So I am just so excited and I'm loving it. That being said, this video is actually an original from Epic History TV. Don't worry, they've given me permission and I appreciate it. Thank you, Epic History. I'm going to go ahead and throw the link to the original video down in the description so you guys can check it out. I'd highly recommend it. Their channel's awesome. And go there, subscribe to them. Seriously, they have great content. While you're at it, hit that sub button on my channel. Right now, only 8% of you guys are subscribed to me. I couldn't believe it when I saw that statistic. I'm pumping out content every day. But hell, it's up to you, Anyway, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to shut up, and let's watch this. It's Napoleon's invasion to Russia, Part 2, his bloodiest day, Borodino, 1812.
Russia, 1812. Napoleon invades his former ally with the largest army Europe has ever seen. But for the French Emperor, the decisive blow remains frustratingly beyond reach. Russia's resilience is unlike anything he's ever encountered.
Oh my gosh, this foreshadowing? Moscow on fire?
As winter closes in, his army begins the most infamous retreat in history.
Wow. See, that's what's scary about Russia. They can hunker down and wait for winter to come. And, I mean, it's happened several times. You're going to go running. You're going to starve. You're going to freeze. It's just a major problem.
September 1812. 10 weeks had passed since Napoleon invaded Russia with more than 500,000 men. The French Emperor wanted a quick victory over the Russians, one that would force Emperor Alexander to make peace and agree to French terms.
Okay.
But at Vitebsk and then Smolensk, the outnumbered Russian army had narrowly escaped his clutches. The holy city of Smolensk had been virtually destroyed. Napoleon had advanced deep into Russia, and months of marching had left his army decimated by disease and exhaustion. It was now half its original strength, and summer was nearly over. But finally, 70 miles west of Moscow, near the village of Borodino, the Russians had turned to offer battle. Napoleon would have a chance to win the decisive victory that he believed would end the war. In 1812, Napoleon was master of Europe.
Let me go ahead and skip this for you. There you go.
The Russian army, commanded by the 67-year-old, one-eyed veteran General Kutuzov, occupied a defensive position across the two main roads.
Is that a glass eye then? How the hell did he lose his eye? Was it a battle wound? Does anybody know? Let me know in the comments if you know how the hell he lost his right eye. I know it says about 2% of the people that watch this are Russian, so let me know.
Leading from Smolensk to Moscow. General Barclay de Tolly's First Army was on the right, its front protected by the Kalatsha River, steep-banked but shallow and easily forded. Prince Bagration's Second Army was on the left, a more open position but reinforced by major earthworks, the Great Redoubt, and what the French nicknamed, for their shape, the Flèche, the arrows.
The Flèche?
Another
like
forward
Fletchers.
redoubt at Shevardino was expected to delay the enemy's advance. Historians still dispute the size of the Russian army, but it's likely Kutuzov had around 121,000 men and 680 guns at Borodino.
That's definitely not that many people, but and I mean the guns, it's quite a few guns, but they're held down so well in a defensive situation, it's going to be tough.
On the 5th of September, Napoleon's army began to arrive from the west. Around 130,000 men and 585 guns. Napoleon quickly saw that the Borodino redoubt would have to be taken before he could deploy his army, and ordered an immediate assault. The attack was led by Compan's 5th Division of the 1st Corps, supported by the Polish 5th Corps to the south.
I couldn't imagine that back in those days, just running straight into an open field, basically. That's terrifying. Like, oh my God. I couldn't do it. I don't think I can do it. Call me a coward, but Jesus Christ, you know?
In several hours of heavy fighting, the redoubt changed hands more than once. But late that evening, the Russians finally withdrew to their main line, and the redoubt fell to the French. Its capture had cost them an estimated 4,000 casualties, while the Russians lost around 6,000 men. Napoleon noted how few prisoners were taken, a worrying sign of the enemy's unbroken resolve. Both sides spent the next day preparing for battle. Marshal Davout, commanding French First Corps and widely considered Napoleon's most able subordinate, appealed to the Emperor to use his corps to make a wide, outflanking attack to the south. But Napoleon dismissed the idea as too risky, and instead began preparing for a massive frontal assault on the Russian defenses.
I could see that.
Shortly after dawn on the 7th of September, Orthodox priests paraded one of Russia's holiest icons, Our Lady of Smolensk, before the Russian army. It was a stirring sight for many devout Russian soldiers, thousands of whom would not live to see dusk.
Wow.
The battle began at 6 a.m. as French batteries opened a deafening cannonade against the Russian defenses. Eugene's 4th Corps advanced on Borodino village, lightly held by Jaegers of the Russian Imperial Guard. After clearing the village, his infantry crossed the Kalacha and advanced towards the Great Redoubt, but were driven back with heavy losses.
Wow.
The Russians burned the bridge across the river,
Smart.
but did not launch a counterattack, and Eugene was able to move cannon into the village to put flanking fire on the Great Redoubt. In the center, Davout's 1st Corps began its advance against the Fleche, coming under heavy fire. While on
I've got a question for you guys. What the hell do you do if you're these...
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you're these guys right up here, you're being shot from with cannons right now. I mean, do you just hope it doesn't hit you? Are you still supposed to just stay in formation? I mean, I know you can't run all over, but... were they in trenches at the time? What were they in, you know? Let me know in the comments, because I'd really appreciate that. Because if they're just standing there as cannonballs are coming by, that is terrifying.
the Polish 5th Corps, ordered to take Utitsa, got held up in the woods and ravines. Their slow advance allowed Tushkov's 3rd Corps to send a division north to reinforce the Fleche defenses. Kutuzov, at his headquarters in Gorky, took little part in the battle, leaving tactical decisions to his subordinates. Barclay and Bagration had spent most of the summer arguing furiously over strategy, but in the hour of crisis, they put their differences aside. They could see the main French attack was falling on the Russian center and left. So Barclay ordered General Bagavut's 2nd Corps south to reinforce Bagration. Fighting around the Flèche intensified as the French captured one of the earthworks, only to be driven out by a Russian counterattack.
Okay.
Davout himself was injured in the fighting as he fell from his dying horse, but he refused to leave the field. When Russian cavalry...
Davout's been a marshal for Napoleon for a long time, too. I don't know if he's been a marshal since the beginning, or it was at least since, 1808 or so. I mean, I definitely remember hearing his name quite a bit.
They counterattacked. Marshal Murat himself led the French cavalry forward to meet them. Ney's Third Corps now joined the attack on the Flèche. A charge by Russian cuirassiers forced Murat to take shelter in a square of Württemberg infantry.
Those were the bayonets? This? That was a god-dang bayonet? Oh my god, when I think of a bayonet, I think of, like, maybe this big. It's still big enough to stab you and hurt like hell. But, I mean, that's a sword just tied to the end of your... Jesus Christ. It was basically just their sword, and they just stuck it on the end. I mean, that's a full-on sword. I can't even film the camera. I have to zoom back more. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, dude. That's just even more terrifying. Not to mention half of them were probably rusty or something. Oh my god. Oh.
Murat, with his flamboyant dress and reckless courage, had now even made a name for himself among the Russians. The Cossacks, in particular, saw him as a kindred spirit and were eager to capture him alive if they could. To the south, Polish troops now took Utitsa, which the Russians set ablaze before withdrawing. But General Bagavout's reinforcements arrived just in time to shore up the Russian flank. Around 10 a.m., Eugène launched another attack on the Great Redoubt. It was briefly captured by Morand's 1st Division, before his men were thrown out by a ferocious Russian counterattack.
Wow.
The Russian army's 27-year-old artillery commander, General Kutesov, was killed leading one of these counterattacks. A heroic death, but a blow to the organization of Russian artillery for the rest of the day. Fighting continued to rage around the Flèche earthworks. Some counted as many as 6 major French assaults, involving 45,000 troops, with hundreds of cannon on both sides, pouring fire into the packed ranks. More than once, French infantry fought their way into one of the Russian positions, only to be driven out again at bayonet point.
Yeah, I'd run from those bayonets too.
Westphalian Corps was sent forward in support, helping to clear Russian skirmishers from the woods to the south. General Bagration was close to the action, overseeing the defense of the Flèche, leading forward reinforcements and ordering counterattacks.
That's actually something really cool that you didn't always see with leaders, is some of them will charge in on the front line, and although that's a higher risk of them getting hit, getting killed, things like that, and oftentimes it's an unnecessary risk, it really gives a lot of faith and a lot of courage to the soldiers, like, that they have in their leader, and it just makes them want to fight more because they see that he is out there with them, you know, instead of hiding back at the back.
Around 10 a.m., he was hit in the leg by shell fragments.
There you go. That's why it's not usually worth it.
He was carried from the field. Shaken by the loss of their iconic commander, the exhausted Russian infantry began to fall back. The French finally took the Flèche.
Wow.
Marshal Murat then led forward Friant's division, First Corps' last reserve, supported by waves of heavy cavalry on both flanks. Russian grenadiers formed squares to ward off the French cuirassiers, while their own guard cavalry fought the French in a giant confused melee, with heavy losses on both sides.
Wow.
The Russians resisted doggedly, but the combined onslaught of French artillery, cavalry, and infantry proved irresistible. As the Russians pulled back, Friant's infantry fought their way into the village of Semyonovskaya. The Russian center was in disarray and seemed close to breaking. Surely now was the time for Napoleon to deliver the knockout blow. For most of the day, Napoleon remained at his headquarters near Borodino.
Yeah.
Those around him later said that illness, as well as the exertions of the long campaign, had left him tired and irritable. As the Russian center buckled, Murat and his staff urged him to send forward his last reserve, the Imperial Guard. The Emperor refused.
Really?
If there is another battle tomorrow, he asked them, where is my army? But he did make one exception. Barclay was continuing to move troops from his unengaged right wing to bolster the center. As Osterman Tolstoy's 4th Corps arrived behind the Russian center, French observers feared they were massing for an attack. So Napoleon ordered forward General Sorbier's Guard artillery. His batteries opened a devastating fire on the enemy. Yet even as they were mown down in their ranks, the Russian infantry stood their ground.
Wow.
On the Russian right wing, all remained quiet, so General Platov, commander of the Don Cossacks, proposed that he lead an attack on the lightly defended Borodino village.
You know, it's funny how stereotypes happen. Typically, stereotypes are based off of something that was true at one point or another. And I guess this is probably an American thing, but the American stereotype of a Russian is just, one of the parts is just very tough. You know, they're very strong, they're very tough, they won't give up type thing. And there's somebody that's definitely a tough enemy to try to take down. And that line that they just said about they're in the middle of getting shot with artillery, things like that, and they're standing their ground. That's an incredible fight. Good on them.
Permission received, Generals Platov and Uvarov led a force of 8,000 Cossacks and cavalry across the Kalacha River. They fell on French and Italian troops around Borodino with complete surprise, spreading panic and disorder. Grouchy's 3rd Cavalry Corps had to be pulled back across the river to drive off the Russians.
Wow.
Russian commanders saw this raid as a missed opportunity, but it had delayed the next French attack by 2 hours, and may have persuaded Napoleon that he was right to hold back his reserve. Around 3 p.m., the French launched their biggest assault yet on the Great Redoubt.
Before they get into this, I have to ask one more time. I know you guys have explained the guards to me. There was the young guard, the, medium guard or whatever the hell they call it, and then the old guard. And I understand that they're based off different times, different things like that. They have different experience levels, all that. I understand those three. The reserve guard, was it made up of people of all three of these? Or was it a combination of all three? Or was it just the old guard? Or what was the reserve guard made of? I'm assuming if they're a guard, they're pretty elite soldiers that Napoleon saved just in case. But were they made up of these other guards, I guess is my question.
Russian gunners targeted the French infantry advancing to their front, allowing French cavalry to outflank the redoubt and charge it from the rear. Saxon cavalry were first in, cutting down Russian infantry and gunners almost to the last man. It was an astonishing feat by the horsemen, against all the rules of war, and testament to the ferocity of the fighting. As Eugene's infantry consolidated their hold on the redoubt, he ordered forward all the available cavalry to exploit this success. But they were met and checked by the last Russian cavalry reserves. Eugene now implored Napoleon to commit the Imperial Guard. But again, the Emperor refused. "I will not destroy my guard," he told his staff. "I am 800 leagues from France, and I will not..."
Dude looks a little heavy there. Napoleon's been gaining some weight. Maybe it's just a weird drawing that they did, but Jesus Christ, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big guy. But, yeah, he definitely looks a little heavier than he used to be.
"Risk my last reserve." By 5 p.m., both armies were in a state of utter exhaustion. The battlefield was strewn with dead and wounded. Some infantry battalions could muster only a third of their strength. Cavalry could advance no faster than a trot. Gun crews were collapsing with fatigue. As dusk approached, fighting slowly died out across the battlefield. Napoleon and the French army expected the fighting to resume the next day. But by dawn, Kutuzov, having learned the full, horrifying scale of Russian losses, had ordered a withdrawal. The losses on both sides were enormous. Russian casualties are estimated at 44,000.
Wow.
French losses around 30,000.
Oh, at least
including
it's less.
49 generals.
Oh my God.
12 of them killed.
Wow.
Borodino would prove to be the bloodiest single day of the Napoleonic Wars.
Wow.
The Russian army could not fight another battle until it had received major reinforcements. And so Kutuzov decided that he must abandon Moscow.
Really?
On the
Whoa,
15th of September.
Did you guys hear that? He said he must abandon Moscow. I've got a question. In English, so I guess I'm basically asking other Americans and UK, things like that. And you know what? Russian too. I want to hear it in Russian. How would it be pronounced? Because maybe I'm just weird and it's not typical of Americans like this, but I always called it Moscow. You know, like cow, like moo, like a farm animal type thing. Moscow. But he goes Moscow. Is that common in Great Britain? Is that a pronunciation for Russia? I mean, let me know.
A week after his victory at Borodino, Napoleon entered the city. He would find it virtually deserted, and already the first fires starting to burn.
All right, let's have a talk about that. What'd you guys think? So that's the second part. It was an incredibly bloody day. 74,000 troops injured or killed, as well as, what did he say, 25 generals? Or it was maybe more than that. It's incredible. It's, I can't believe that he took Moscow. I didn't think he was going to push that far. I mean, I saw the fires in Moscow at the beginning, so I guess it makes sense that he took it, but, wow. That it really is incredible. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm really excited for the next part. The next part is almost 30 minutes, so I'm going to split the last part of Russia up into a 2-part video that's each about 15 minutes, just because nobody wants to sit on here for 35 minutes after commentary, intro, and outros, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed it, though, and till next time, I love y'all. This is Ace Asai, and I'm out.